Hello and welcome to a new edition of Merrill's Monday Market Madness. I'm coming at you today with an update regarding the housing market in the Phoenix metro area. Um, you know, there's lots of kind of negative headlines out there about the housing market, and what we are seeing are kind of the opposite of that. Everything that we're seeing right now with the trends in the Phoenix area are that the market is really starting to pick up. And you probably, when you hear realtors talk like that, you probably think, well, of course they would say that, they're biased, right? They just want us to buy a house. Sorry, I feel like there's something on my lens here. But I want to share with you like some actual numbers and show you, some of the signals that we're starting to see. Ultimately, what everyone wants to know is the future, right? I mean, if we knew for sure what was going to happen tomorrow, then we would all be living on a beach somewhere, right? But I think I'm pretty good at using the numbers and the analytics and the trends, and I look at it and study it every day and try to share with you in a basic way to help you understand and make the best decisions for yourselves in your real estate journey. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing, I think this information could be really helpful for you. So first of all, right now in our MLS, we have a total of 15,625 active listings. Now, let me just give that number some scale and some perspective. In the heat of the market, early 2022, when things were just an absolute frenzy before rates had started going up, we hit a low point of about 4,000 active listings. So 15,000 is, almost 4 times more active listings than we have right now than what we ever had at the lowest point. However, compare that to like the housing crash in 2008. There were more than 40 or 50,000 active listings at one point. So 15,000 still pretty low. But even more recently, back on let's see here, I had written it down. Well, our high water mark happened in November. Actually, I'm sorry, October. We hit 21,126 active listings. So we actually have a 35% drop from the peak. We're at 21,000. Now we're down to 15,000. So pretty significant decrease in inventory that we're seeing right now. Definitely a sign that, inventory is falling and demand is also picking up. How do you kind of measure demand? Well, that's difficult to say, but one of the main things that we look at is how many pending contracts there are, how many homes are under contract. So right now we have 8,534 pending contracts. And the lowest that we ever had during like the holidays right around December was 5,500. So there are 3,000 more homes under contract right now than what we saw in December. So inventory is down and demand is up. Over the last 30 days, we've seen 4,163 homes close, giving us a month's supply of inventory of 3.75, which is a relatively balanced market in terms of the month's supply of inventory number. A couple other metrics, the average sales price over the last 30 days, all the homes that sold in our MLS is currently sitting at 515,000. It did hit a low of 509. So, that could be a statistical anomaly. I don't necessarily think home prices have risen by $6,000 over the last couple of weeks. But what I'm saying is it doesn't appear to be falling any further. We were as high as 602,000. That was the highest average sales price that we saw over any 30-day period. So all the way down to 509. Home prices have fallen in the Phoenix metro area on average by almost $100,000. But now it's bouncing off that line a little bit, and we're back up to 515. Nothing crazy, but like I said, the average price doesn't appear to be falling any further, and has actually increased ever so slightly. Now, if you've watched any of my shows before, you know that I always start with this month's supply of inventory and talk about supply and demand. And I've kind of come to a realization that a lot of people don't know why it matters or care why it matters, I guess. And so I thought, I don't know, I'm no economics professor, but I'm sure you've heard that it ultimately comes down to supply and demand, right? As supply is low, that's why prices skyrocketed so much in 2020, 2021, 2022. was that there were very, very few homes for sale and a ton of people who wanted to buy them. So very low supply, very high demand. And now over the last year, we've seen prices fall because supply rose pretty dramatically and demand fell pretty dramatically. If you remember this, if you ever took an economics class, you'll definitely remember this. You feel free to just tune this part out. But I thought it'd be fun to just kind of draw a little chart and basically show you what it looks like from a graph point. Like price is the price over here is determined by the quantity on the bottom. So if there's more supply, right? So just pretend like the supply line comes over here, right? Now you'll notice that the price fell from here down to here, right? But if the supply is lower, again, this is quantity, so the supply line comes over here and supply goes lower, then the price goes up, right? And then the same things basically apply for the demand line, right? As demand gets higher, right, then the price can come all the way up here. When you have really really high demand and really, really low supply, then that's what happens. The price goes straight up. And, so what we're seeing right now is essentially demand is increasing and supply is decreasing. So we're definitely seeing some signs. And I'm sorry if you hated my graph, and it actually doesn't look like it showed up very well in the video. And I'm sure most of you already know this. But I wanted to try to provide a better explanation of why I care, like why I'm always looking at. I only share it with you guys once every couple of weeks, but I literally look every single day at how many active listings we have, how many pending contracts we have, and at what our daily month supply of inventory number is. Because I think that I'm able to spot trends faster than a lot of agents, because I know at any given moment whether inventory is increasing or decreasing and whether demand is increasing or decreasing. Now, another thing that's been interesting lately is the rental market. Over the last 10 years, we've seen rental prices just skyrocketing the whole time. If you've been in a rental during this time period, like pretty much every year, your rent is going up by another $200. Right now, our rental market has 5,897 active listings, quite a few active listings, 2,237 that have closed in the past 30 days. So the month supply of inventory is 2.64. Now that's a lot lower than the sale market is at 3.75, but that's significantly high for a rental market, because if you just figured 2.64, that's almost 3 months. So every time a rental home comes up on the market, if it has to sit empty for almost 3 months, like that's a lot of lost revenue for the landlords. So they're having to improve the price dramatically if they want to be able to compete with the other 6,000 active rental listings. Now, with that said, there's 6,000 rental listings is not that many for a city with a population of whatever, Phoenix, 5 or 6 million people. So it's still relatively low. But the average price, so if I just look at the average price of all the homes that have rented in our MLS in the past 30 days, it's $2,229. If you compare that to January of 2022, so go back exactly a year ago, the average price was $2,207. In other words, the average price year over year is near identical. The average price is $22 higher this January than it was in January of 22. But again, if we look at like May as the peak of the market, that's when we saw the highest average sales price. So if we look at what was the average rental price in May, that was kind of our high watermark. It was $2,333. So the average rental price since May, in basically, let's call it 8 months, the average rental price has actually declined by $104. So that's, something to keep an eye on. It could also just be the time of year. Ultimately, what I really believe is that the rental market's pretty flat right now. Prices aren't really increasing. The reason that you're seeing that homes in May sold for $100, rented for $100 a month more, is just that demand is way higher in May. It's easier to rent a home in May. A lot more people want to move in May, so landlords can usually charge a little bit more money. I'll be more interested to see May to May, like what happens in May of 23 as compared to May of 22. But overall, the rental market is, not as competitive as we have seen over the last couple of years as well, partially due to the fact that in 21 and early 22, we had an insane amount of investors and hedge funds and real estate investment trusts and companies like that buying up a ton of real estate in the Phoenix area and renting it out. So, as that has happened, a lot of these, there's just a lot more homes available to rent right now than what we've seen historically. Like in 2019 and 2018, there were many times when we had rental properties that we were able to raise the rent, significantly year over year. Right now, it's for the most part relatively flat. So anyway, we'll continue to keep an eye on it. And I hope you found this information helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know.